for a few people to come in and see what happens. How's it going? I'm good. I just have been working on something for the last few weeks, so I thought I'd do a live stream today because I've been kind of busy with other stuff for the last couple weeks. So yeah, my hair is all messed up today. I always feel weird actually showing my actual size to everyone. And my room's like, I'm gonna change the setup in my room so it looks different when I'm actually. Melchizedek, I got told a while ago to start working with the energy of Melchizedek. Melchizedek is like an ancient energy inside of our star system, so I've been watching someone else that's been channeling him specifically, or that particular energy specifically, and I thought I'd give it a try myself. If it doesn't come through, not a big deal. But yeah, no, it's like the creative force is that creative energy that goes along with like the collective consciousness itself. Dog, get up. Hey dog, stay. My dog likes to whimper. Hi. Hi. Do you want to be part of things? That's what's going on? So if you guys have questions for Melchizedek, this is a completely new energy for me, so it may take a minute or something for it to actually start coming through. So I want to give it a few minutes and see who else wants to join in, and make sure you guys put your likes, comments, subscribe, all that good stuff in the description, and we will get started in a few minutes. And how's your guys' life been? Da da da. Like so just to put into context, I've been working on learning how to do trading because as much as I love doing body work, I don't want to go back to doing it full time, so I need to like have something to do. It's the holidays. You're in Germany, correct? What kind of holidays do you have over in Germany this time of year? We just got done with Thanksgiving over here last week. No, it's the normal ones. Um, St. Martin was a holy day. Huh. I will have to look it up. Let's. St. Martin. Okay. That's cool. Um, as soon as there gets like one or two more people, I'm gonna let's. I can't see who all's on the stream, so if you guys would please put your say hi in the chat so I can see who's here. I know I haven't been on much lately, but I've been just busy with other stuff. So. How's it going, Andrew? So yeah, let's. Since we got a few people here, let's. The agenda for today. Oh, and for anyone that's interested, I'm doing more of a video chat thing on another website where I actually have a moderator and someone that's actually able to just be there in the. Oh, hey Val, how's it going? Just been busy. I have someone who's been a moderator, and it's just more like a live video chat, so you guys are able to just interact with me in live real time. So if you guys are interested in having more of that versus this, I can get a link to the session, which actually, hold on, let me do this. Pocket option. I just put the link in the description or into the chat box. If you guys are interested in joining another session that I'm doing later today, feel free to click on the link and register for the event. But I just, like I said, today I felt like I thought I'd bring like a new sort of energy through that I don't normally do. Like I love Ethan, he's a fantastic connection, but I just kind of wanted to try something new as far as actually what I bring through. Like I enjoy him, and he comes through quite easily these days, like compared to where it was 6 months ago. But yeah, but just yeah, no, the session's a little bit later today. If you guys are interested in joining, feel free to click on the link and should register for the event later today. So. But I just thought I'd tap into like the energy of or the connection of Melchizedek and see what flows through when that connection is happening. Anyways, since we got a few people here now, let's see about asking the question, because I got to be able to get into connection with a particular person in order to make it happen. I can check. I don't particularly know this answer myself, but let's see what comes through. I'm gonna have to work on this connection later. It's like, yeah, I got to work on this connection. I'll just do Ethan like normal. He's better just answering questions like this because I can feel him kind of wanting to kind of. I can feel him wanting to come through. The idea of your yearly cycles, as you determine it, would be more appropriately termed in your fall, or more around the idea of your equinoxes. The idea is that your world has been turning for many years, and the idea of your civilization more started around the idea of what you determine as fall. And as more in that time period, you are able to connect to the idea of your ancestors. So the idea that you would need to do as a person is to be understanding that the beginning and the end are more around that time of year. For humans, you have been told one thing, and it has been turned and told to you for many, many years that the idea of your year starts in the middle of winter, but more of the idea that you need to follow as the year goes on, because in ancient times, they celebrated that time of year as being your start of the year itself. Because it is more of a midway point, it is more of a time and a place to reap harvests when things start going to sleep. That would be a more appropriate time for you as humans to celebrate your start of a year, is when things go to sleep. Not necessarily in the coldest part of the year, because that is the midpoint heading back to the other half of the year. So, to answer your question, more of the idea around your fall equinox is more of an appropriate time to celebrate the idea of your new year. Well, that came through very clearly. That was fast. um, yeah, and if you guys have like a particular question, because I'm gonna try a few more times to get like the Melchizedek energy to come through, because it works a lot more easily when I have people asking questions to start having that sort of energy come through. Like I will say this much for hair loss. This is a new one on me. Let's go with hair loss, and then we'll switch to the idea of the idea of hair loss that you have been experienced and have experienced throughout your history is coming from the idea that your genetics is mixed with many different extraterrestrial races. So from time to time, through particular family lines, particular different types of breeding, that particular gene comes out. It is part of how many of you have chosen to incarnate, to lose the idea of hair, because it's not necessarily necessary in your society to particularly have any sort of hair. The idea, the term you refer to as bald is beautiful. It's learning to accept yourself from having not a full head of hair as you know it to be. The idea that you, as a being, did choose to come into a body that would experience the idea of what it is like to not have hair. You As a being, if you are experiencing the idea of hair loss, is more to the idea of adapting to the idea of you are beautiful and no matter what you state you are in. You are perfect in essence to who you are as a being at all times. It's just what you are being reflected back, and you're being asked to accept yourself for who you are and understand that you are perfect in the forms that you take. So in that essence, it is not necessarily necessary to let go of the idea of not having hair. Many people in my society, in my species, do not have hair at all. I have some hair, some white hair on the top of my head, but I do not have much hair at all. This does not bother me. Remember, you are made up of many different species, whether it's earth-based or extraterrestrial-based. It's not necessarily necessary for most species to have hair as you know it. But your outward image is, and always will be, a outward manifestation of a inner state. So if you are not accepting the way your body shifting and changing, you will experience the idea of resistance in your looks, in your physical being, your physical state at all times. One moment, we are making an adjustment to the channel right now to facilitate a more easy connection. One moment. You are going through the idea of a shift in your climate, a shift in your environments. The idea, these are natural cycles that do occur on your planet from time to time. At the end of your last ice age, the large ice sheets that were on your North American continent and also inside of your northern hemisphere shrank drastically in a very short period of time. It raised the sea levels. That is where most of the fear that humans experience extends from that particular time in that particular place. It is part of your genetic memory. That is why you as beings still have the fear that environments change. Understand, by the time you start interacting with us on a regular basis physically, you will have a different world than you currently do. You are moving through the idea of fears that have been inside of your collective for many generations. The idea that you as beings need to work through at this time is more of the idea that you as beings are shifting. You are going through a birthing process. Your environments will become hotter. Your climates and your environments will change. But understand, all of this is temporary in nature. The physical body is a temporary state. You are only ever this version of you once. The version of reality that you know and see is only ever a temporary state in nature, so you are not necessarily bound to the idea. The water will rise. The land will change. Throughout your history and many other histories, even our own, the lands have changed. It is not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on how you look at it. The idea that you will be completely destroyed by water rising, by the land getting hotter, is not necessarily a terrible thing. Throughout your history, the idea of the Sahara Desert, many years ago, was a beautiful paradise. It was a jungle. Then it shifted to the idea of a prairie, and then to the idea of a desert that you know today. At some point in your future, it will shift back to more the idea of the prairie and then be repopulated into jungle. But that is many years into your future, as you know it. That was cool. Can you talk about Nazca lines, drawings, and their purpose on Earth? If we humans stop eating meat, will there no longer be any carnivorous animals? Do these animals then die out or become herbivores? Hey, what is the best way to align in all chakras of the same thing? Thanks for your answer. What's the occult meaning behind the character Batman and Joker? I like Batman and Joker, so I'm gonna start with that one. But who built the wells in Peru? What tools and technology? Let's start with the Nazca lines. The idea of your Nazca lines that you determine them to be now, many of the survivors of Atlantis land that you refer to from your history moved to various places around your world. They had the idea of being able to sense energy wells, vortexes. They were able to connect to various frequencies very easily, much in the way that the channel is doing right now. The idea of the Nazca lines, as you refer to them, is more of this. It is a vibrational state that teaches you to communicate to nature, to yourself. That is why there is the idea of animal-shaped ones and a human-shaped one. Is learning to connect to nature vibrationally into a frequency state that allows you to be connected to all that is, connected to the earth, to be not disconnected and only being in a state where you are purely non-physical. It's understanding that you are connected to nature in all shapes and sizes. In the times where they were actually created, many of those people who moved to that particular colony and became part of Peru, as you determined to be, was able to bring much of their technology, the ones that were in that particular colony. They passed down the information through many, many generations past their time. They were able to make areas fertile that were previously deserts. They were able to pass down understandings and technologies. And eventually, over the millennia, much of that technology was lost. It was more of an understanding of the vibrational state that you, as beings, could be in. That is the pure essence of their technologies. They understood inherently from a certain perspective that they were also vibrational beings and that they were able to resonate at such a high frequency. They could create environments. They understood the way to use technology and the environment to their benefit, to live in environments such as Peru and high deserts where there is not typically life as you know it. Many of you believed that shifting purely to a diet that is purely vegetable in nature makes you more spiritual. Understand that you see the Native Americans as being purely spiritual. The native peoples of North and South America. Many of them still eat meat, but they also eat vegetables. Understand that much of the food that you have eaten on your planet is filled with toxic chemicals that clutter up parts of your liver, parts of your being. The idea is that the environment, whether it is a technological or a biological, is always seeking harmony. So the environment itself is a reflection of inner states, inner beings. Even if you all switch to being a purely vegetable-based diet, a vegan, understand that each person is a case-by-case basis. The environment itself is a reflection of all of you, not just one pure person, one pure collective. There are portions of you that it would feel natural to switch to that way of being, that way of understanding, but not everyone will be able to or willing to switch to that level of being and understanding. It will be, at some point, be more natural for you to live in that way. On average, most humans at this time still prefer to eat both. Understand and be willing to not judge other people for not being in a particular place where you are. Understand that each person requires different nutritional requirements. It is not necessary for them to switch over to the diet that you eat, much in the way that is not necessary for you to switch to the way they eat. It is not necessary to judge anyone. Each of you are a case-by-case basis. It is not necessary for anyone to judge anyone for any real reason. You do not have the ability to judge anyone for any reason. You do not know everything about them. But if you need that reflection of being more in a state of in harmony as you feel it, then let that be your guide. But it is not necessary for each and every person to follow the exact same path. That is why there are different people on your planet. It has been said that if there was only one way to live, there'd only be one person. So it is necessary for all of us to be in that state where you eat what is natural to you. Among my people, we do not eat. We do not sleep. Is that necessary for you? No. Because it's not necessarily relevant for you to experience the idea of living that way. So understand, when people eat the idea of meat or a vegetable-based diet or any other kind of diet, it is what's relevant for them at that time. And it's not necessarily relevant for you to experience what they experience. Wow, that was a lot. That was really cool. They say the Earth is very important to the galaxy. What exactly is so important about Earth and the humans and the galaxies? I know the Anunnaki created us, but do you think people, what we come from, are monkeys? Oh, I know the H-shaped stones that you speak of. Keep putting questions in. I'm going to cover the next three questions. John, Mir, like the next three questions that I have up there. So let's go with Batman, and then human, the importance of Earth, and the Anunnaki. By the way, when I switch back and forth and go in and out of these states, I can only take a few questions at a time before I have to go out. Yes, I will definitely go in, and I will definitely have him speak on that. The idea of what you refer to as the Batman and the Joker. Your comic book characters can be looked at much in this way as archetypes. They represent an idea, a particular state of being. The Dark Justice is represented by the Batman. It is the idea that it has not shifted to the light. It is in the idea of disconnection, taking on from a purely black and white way of looking at things, understanding that there is a counterbalance which represents the idea of the Joker. The Batman is the idea of unflinching justice, the idea that this is not protected, so it must be protected by one particular being. Your justice, which comes in the idea of Batman, is an archetype. It connects to the idea that you, as beings, see those things that you cannot control. So you connect to the idea of a being that takes justice into his own hand. Because many of you desire to do such a thing, but you do it in such a... but you are afraid to be hurt, so you do not go down that path. Many of you that do not wish to experience those things, this is a very safe way of going through the experience without necessarily falling apart. The counterpart to the Batman is the Joker. It has the idea of pure chaos. Where Batman is the idea of order, the Joker represents the idea of pure chaos. Understand that these characters themselves are just archetypes that are channeled through the particular people that are writing their stories. They are connecting to them. You have the idea of the Fool. You have the idea of the Emperor. In your tarot decks, the idea of the Fool is played out by the Joker. They are taken to extremes. Not necessarily positive extremes, but they are taken to the extremes of what those particular mentalities are showing you as people. You would not want these type of people actually in your society. When these types of archetypes do show up in people, you refer to them as psychopaths. They serve a function of making your people actually get moving in a way they could not. The idea of chaos in order is when a system has reached the point it no longer functions and it needs something for it to get going or start moving. This is what you see in the idea of the Joker. The order and the chaos. The Joker and the Emperor. These are the archetypes of the Batman and the Joker. Hold on a sec. I gotta pull out because... okay, let me read the next couple questions because that was a lot. Let's go back to the... they say Earth is important. Okay. The idea of the humans on your planet right now are going through the idea of open contact. Many of your people are also experiencing the idea of incarnations on other planets. Many of the souls that are here right now, many as you are, beings that are connecting with the particular channel in front of you, are also on other worlds as well. You as souls knew that this was a time of great acceleration, so you came to Earth in order to participate in this time period, in order to experience the idea of the evolution of your souls, to other levels, to much, much higher levels. So you are going through the idea of unraveling. That is why many of the systems that have been perpetrated on your planet for many decades, many hundreds and thousands of years, those systems are falling away by the fact that you as beings are here to change the system currently that has been engaged with you as a people, with your ancestors, with your future selves. You are giving a chance for those beings that are to come where they allow themselves to grow. For as if you are not going through the time period you are now, many of your future incarnations, many of the future people on your planet would still be enchained, will be in bondage. But for now, understand that you on Earth and the entire universe, because this is such a focused place for your particular energy right now, are going through the idea of evolution. And as you all very well know, the idea of birthing on your planet is not exactly the easiest process. So that is what you are going through currently. It's always the most painful when you're at the beginning. The process of learning to grow is usually the hardest part. The idea of the Anunnaki, the progenitors, the species that created humans in the first place, there was a naturally evolved hominid on your planet that had their DNA spliced into by the Anunnaki. You were created in that way, but you do not actually match the original species that they created, because different sets of genetics have been expressed all over your world. The idea is this: you have evolved to such a point that much of that Anunnaki DNA is starting to return to your abilities and your being. There were other versions that did exist on your planet when they were creating humans. The idea that you as people must seek to understand is that you are not the last versions of humans. You have been told. One moment, we are adjusting the connection. The idea is why there are so many people on your planet right now is you are going through the idea of evolution on a more vibrationally frequency level. That is why there are so many different people here, so many different extraterrestrial races. That is what you are working through right now. It is not scary in that sense. It is necessary for you to go through this experience because you knew it would be necessary. It gives you a chance to grow and change in a way that you could never do it right now. Other than this time, this place, this version of Earth that gives you the chance to evolve as a soul. Simply put. The idea of Pumapunku, that was another one of the Atlantean colonies. They shaped many of those stones using vibration and frequencies. There were different particular guilds. There is technology that they had that allowed them to levitate those stones vibrationally by canceling out the gravity that allowed them to move the stones. They also had a similar process that allowed them to shape the stones. Understand that Many of their buildings were structured in such a way to amplify the echoes of frequency, because much of their technology was frequency based. They were able to connect to the stones themselves and connect to the idea of circuitry. Think of these things as sacred circuitry. We are searching for particular technology to equal it. As many of those particular survivors and people with that particular understanding and technology passed away, much of the understanding that allowed them to do such things as cut rocks in half or giant stones to be levitated or to create such precision in their technology and their architecture was lost. Much of the actual understanding is starting to return to you at this time. Most of the mystery schools that you have experienced on your planet through the millennia was the knowledge that was being passed down to you from those particular civilizations. But much of that understanding and knowledge is actually returning to you now. It is not necessary for you to remain in the dark as you have been for the last 12,000 of your years, as you have just passed through in your orbit the idea of what's left of the comet that crashed into your planet. You are moving to that higher frequency. The earth will change, and this is natural. Oh. Yeah. Can energy be imbued into music files? Okay. Also, make sure you keep the questions coming, because even if I'm sitting with connecting like this, I'll just read them when I actually get out of the trance. The idea of your imbuing of vibration and frequency, you have the idea of sigils on your planet, the idea that you can connect to many things, the objects, sounds, frequencies. You are imbuing a particular energy into your being, into other beings that have been deemed to be witchcraft in your past. They are not necessarily witchcraft as you classically think of it. The idea is this: you are connecting to the water, you are connecting to the idea that everything is frequency. So if you imbue the idea of a particular energy into a frequency, understand that music is nothing but frequency, nothing but vibration. It is the intention that you put behind that particular frequency that allows you to imbue the idea of your emotion into an object, into a person, into a place, because everything will do nothing but match the frequency that you put out. Your reality will match nothing but that particular frequency that you exist in. So yes, you can imbue the idea, but you have to have a strong enough intent, a strong enough will, that becomes a tangible thing for you to experience and for others to experience the particular frequency that you're putting out. Much in the way that the channel, we are using his throat chakra in order to transmit the idea of the message we are delivering. In the future, when people watch this particular transmission, they will, to a lesser extent, not as much during these live question and answer sessions, still be able to feel the energy that we put out, because we imbue every transmission, every connection that we have with you into these vibrations, these frequencies, the recordings, because they are a vibrational match to us. That was cool. If the Earth divides, will the Earth population divide the population? Who were the sea people that marked the end of the Bronze Age? Where they come from? There they go. Besides Palladians and Yael, who else will we have open contact with first? Which species? House of Dust. Who were the pharaohs? Were the humans ETs or hybrids? What happened to their DNA? Can you speak? It's been going on for over 13 years now. Like, when I was younger. I'm gonna Leroy up. Come on. Hold on one sec. Leroy up. Don't. Dad's channeling. Let's go into the Earth population. I think that would be a good. I'm gonna take 2 questions and then. Let's. The idea of open contact will happen in such a way that you will be more experiencing the idea of the more still physical civilizations first, because they are operating at a level where you can actually interact with them, and you can wrap your mind around the idea of beings that are still physical, as you have been shifting to the idea of fourth density. The frequencies, as you shift through this particular dimension of being, are much higher than what you have been experiencing on Earth. The idea that you will experience the Yael. The Yael themselves are merely the first hybrid race that you will interact with, because they are essentially human with some different actual physical changes. You will experience the idea of the Lyrans through the idea of the Os, the people from the Sirius star system, because they do have physical beings in that particular system. That will be one of the initial races that will actually have contact with you. The idea of some of the reptilian races that have a few people on your planet, the Ferrero Rocher, the Grace, the ones that actually still are around, will be some of the ones that you have first contact with. There are a few species that you do not quite have names for. We are searching for names to match the particular names of these races. Just understand that the names themselves are there just for you to become familiar with their particular vibration, because it is actually encoded into the particular names that you use. When you can embed and incorporate the idea of their particular vibration, you will be able to more physically interact with them as beings. The Shalanaya, Those are the hybrid children that you have been going through the process of creating over the last years of your time. There are a few races that are still being decided on at this time. The particular races, such as the mantis beings, the zeta grays, the first races that you will be introduced to will be very similar to you. It is not necessary to have a complete understanding of all of the different races, but you do have some races among you right now. But many of them understand how to camouflage themselves and make themselves indistinguishable for you to actually interact with. That was a lot. Who are the pharaohs? Were they? Let's do the pharaoh question because that sounds like fun. Initially, the idea of the pharaohs, because many of you humans were not able to interact completely for long term with the extraterrestrials that lived on your planet for a time. There were people that were left in charge in order to actually help you grow. There were some, not all, but some that were extraterrestrial. Many were human. Many exhibited the idea of genetics that were bred into them in later dynasties. Most of what you refer to as the pharaohs, the rulers, were high priests initially. And they wore things in order to hide their physical features that did not match yours to make them less noticeable. It did not last. They did have a particular amount that actually bred into your population. You see it in particular people that will exhibit the idea of physical characteristics from those species that actually were in your population at that time and did breed into your populations during that time period. Wow. Let's do Kundalini question. The idea of Kundalini energy that has been experienced by many people on your planet for many years now, for the last 13. Understand that the number 13 represents the idea of transformation, as you have been moving up energetically, vibrationally, to the idea of being fully awake as people. Your species has been experiencing the idea of upgrades. Kundalini energy is that base energy that allows you to connect to your planet, your people. It is that which allows you to experience sex, experience the idea of the physical energy. So what you are experiencing with the idea of the Kundalini upgrade is an upgrade to your physical form that is being more energetically done versus a straight physical transformation, a physical, obvious transformation. The physical form itself is being given energetic upgrades. But you, as a society, are doing that for yourself. That is not necessarily us doing that particular modification. It is not always extraterrestrials. There are people on your planet that have had energetic adjustments, physical implants put into their bodies, but that is no longer being done in the same way because the technology has adapted and changed, because it's been deemed to be more efficient to just make energetic upgrades to your people instead of making physical actual adjustments where you find implants in the bodies. Genetic alterations are there to help your physical forms. That was cool. Channeling dragons. Let's see. When I was younger, I was afraid of anything. When I was younger, I wasn't afraid of anything, even if it was something dangerous. Why has that changed so much? Why couldn't I had a dream and saw myself as a gray or a Sasani. I worked with other Sasanis or grays and one reptilian. You are experiencing a parallel counterpart inside of the Sasani civilization. That's a pretty simple answer. Usually, like, you're gonna have interactions, and you'll actually switch to different forms when you're sleeping that actually are doing other things, because you're not just physically here when you're sleeping. Yeah, we could do a dragon. That'd be kind of fun. Adam, we should do a session soon where we just do the dragon the whole time, because I haven't done a dragon before. Let's. Okay. We connect to your people at this time. We bring higher vibrational energy that you humans to interact with, to be born and be able to incorporate the energy of our vibration. We bring wisdom, we bring understanding, we bring the fearless nature of our being. We move in and out of your reality and many others. We have been seen in forms in your history. We represent the idea of wisdom with the idea of the carnal nature. We represent in your reality the idea of the combination of both particular energies, both particular time space, those particular understanding that goes along with that particular state of being We are not here to destroy you. The depictions of us being merciless in your time, in your past, are our energies channeled through negative structures, negative ways of being. We are not here to destroy you. We are more connected to the idea of water and fire incorporated into one being. We have never been fully physical. We have never completely materialized our full form into your reality. We are friend. That was cool. Hold on a sec. That was actually a lot. um, what type of why does the Bible name Pleiades, Orion, Big Dipper? Well, there were actual beings that came here during that time period that had that particular energy to them, because you got to remember, like, thousands of years ago, we're finishing out the energy that came in like 6,000 years ago, our understanding, the idea of war, destruction, and that's why there's been so many wars through the last umpteen thousand years. Do you have any insights about taking magic mushrooms? I feel being consumed through while on mushrooms and see Celtic patterns on my skin. Just taking magic mushrooms. Yes, I can tell you, as someone who dealt with depression for a very long time, the thing that actually fixed it for me. It's not for everyone, and I would never classify it for everyone. That you're, realistically speaking, when you're taking those things, you're actually being put in a state where you're just seeing what's there. You're understanding, being able to connect to nature in that way. You're also being given a chance to take yourself to a higher level. There's nothing necessarily negative about taking mushrooms. Like, I can tell you from my own experience of what I've been able to experience through taking magic mushrooms is that it broke me out of the cycle that I was in for a long time. And I've reached the point where I don't really need to take that stuff anymore. Like, it's fun, don't get me wrong, but the way you're going to, I would say the healthiest way to take any sort of thing like that is to do it more in a meditative state, in a more of an environment where you're able to just kind of like allow the trip to do what it needs to. It's just bringing you up to a level where you can perceive more what's around you. Because if you've taken magic mushrooms, there's a level of clarity that actually happens after you take the mushrooms. So when you're taking that kind of medicine, you reach a point where you need to stop taking the medicine itself and allow yourself to be actually I can't advocate because this is YouTube and they'll do whatever, but the actual, this is my own personal belief when it comes to magic mushrooms and taking hallucinogens of any kind. It's just, they're there for a time, but you're not meant to take them forever. It's that idea where you're allowing yourself to be in a place where you're able to just connect with a higher form of yourself. So, but I would say you're just kind of connecting the mushrooms themselves, or if you're taking acid or ketamine or any of that, it's just teaching you how to get into a particular state that allows you to experience more of a higher portion of yourself, and it's just a particular vibration. So if you've experienced it, remember that through the power of paradox, it allows you to actually get back in that state. If you can remember what it feels like, it's going to be different, but you can actually put yourself back in the state where you're experiencing the idea of being on a trip like that. So that's my own personal, and yes, they do alter your brain chemistry, and they've altered mine to where I no longer experience these super low lows. But I do a trip every 6 months. I don't just do mushrooms or anything. I just do it every 6 months or so because it helps me like stay up most of the time, and I don't go into these super low lows after doing that. So that would be my 2 cents on the whole thing. What type of beans are Hazeldale Lights? Where are they from? Yes. Once you've had them, it's more putting you back into more of a natural place where you can actually perceive what's all around you already. Like over Thanksgiving here in the States, I didn't go to my family, and I just hung out with a friend, and I did an acid trip. That was one of the most wild acid trips I've ever taken. Cause like, like AI generated video. He didn't give me a name. He just kind of like, it just came through. Everything looked like an AI generated video at one point. It was pretty damn cool, but that was pretty intense. Adam, at some point we should do like an actual session, and we'll just have him come through and let him talk. Let's see. I want to go back to why does the Bible name the Pleiadians and Orions and the Big Dipper? Let's have Ethan come through and have him answer that. At the time that you refer to as your biblical period for humans on your planet, the idea was that many of those beings could walk around you very openly, very freely, and there would be no questions asked. The reason that those particular species and civilization get named into your history is because they were there. The idea is that they exist on a higher level, and they never left your people, your planet. They have been observing you for thousands of years, but they live outside the idea of what you refer to as time. So they are able to observe you for a very long period of time beyond what most humans can perceive, because they were given that information at that time period that allowed them to know that there were beings from the Orions, from the idea of the Pleiades. Many of them are cousins, of course, genetically speaking, not physically in the way of having a parent, but as family. They were observing you. They are contingents of the Anunnaki that exists inside the Orion systems, inside the Pleiades systems. It's still very jarring going back and forth. I'm gonna do. I just want to do a few more questions, and then I'm gonna get off for the day. Uh, and yes, I can connect with a golden dragon. Let's see what. So keep in mind all of the different like the ways of talking. This is just my brain's way of interpreting the energy that comes through, and like it just guides my body to actually. Um, let's go golden dragon. Let's see what comes through. The idea of the golden dragon energy is that which is expansive, that which is elevated. Our energy has been in your minds. The forms have been taken from what you refer to as dinosaurs. We have never fully physically been on your planet. We have had forms that have shown in your past. We represent the elevated state of those forms. The forms that you have recorded in your history were the ones that were easy for your human mind to understand. Physically, we have never been on your planet. The interactions that have happened with us were in altered realities outside of your particular vibration. A more elevated state for you to interact with. We give you all our golden energy to add to your own aura, to add to your own understanding. So, all that hear us now and in the future can incorporate our particular vibration of knowing into your energetic state and help you as beings to move forward in a more balanced state and to be able to call us forward as you need us. That was cool. Adam, we should do another session. I've been busy. Let's see. Can you connect with Golden Dragon? I'm gonna take one more question. How can I request a contact in my dream? I would say this, Andrew. The way I would say is the simplest way to request a contact to happen in your dream, because everything, especially on that level, everything happens in its own perfect timing. Right before you go to sleep, ask them, and I got someone coming through right now. Ask them to say, I would like to have a contact sometime I would like to have a contact in my dream that I can remember, because in being able to actually physically say I would like to have a more active role in my experiences on this level, you're being given a chance to actually come through that particular way. So that's, but just be willing to say before you go to sleep tonight a couple times, I would like to have a more conscious recognition, and I would like to have a more open recognition to be able to like connect to a being and have more conscious recognition of the experience that I'm having on another level. So I know you guys can't see my hands, but when I'm actually, depending on who I'm connecting with, my hands actually like when I'm doing Ethan, my hands change to this shape, and then like there's like my hands will change who I'm connecting with, and that's actually how that's more of what you get with me, is like I more physically connect that way, and that's the way it illustrates through my body. Let's do one more question. Let's do Hazeldale Lights. Or let's see what Ethan says, because he may answer that one or not. Because he's not always giving me information. Like, it's irritating. I prefer he'd just give. Once you've had, can you remember how it felt? Like going back to. Yeah. So Val, that is completely. Once you've experienced being in a state or experienced being a certain way, yeah, that's all you realistically need to do if you want to actually go back into that particular state. Is just remembering that you've had that experience and you can shift back to that frequency wise. Hazeldale Lights. Okay. The idea of the Hazeldale Lights, as you refer to, those were not ships. Those were merely probes. Ships on higher levels can take many forms that when they show up inside of your reality, they can appear as orbs. They can appear as lights. Those things, in essence, are more true ships, more of how many beings get around. Remember that purely non-physical beings can form as just pure consciousness. And because they come from a much higher frequency, they glow. Many beings that exist on a higher frequency levels, such as us, if you were to interact with us, we would glow to you, much in the way that you would glow if you were to interact with a being from 200 or 300 years in your past. They would see you as extraterrestrial, as beings that. But the probes that you were seen or speak of, we are being told to not fully speak of those. I actually haven't had a bad trip. They just kind of upset my stomach a little bit when I take them. Just ones I can get here in Oregon. Can you ask what I and the S is only make with the 3 tablets in my dream. I'm going to make this my last question. Give me that 2 seconds. The particular tablets that you speak of were instruments. They were measuring a particular vibrational frequency. It is going through the process of helping balance the idea of the Earth's energy. That particular meeting that you speak of was speaking on how to manipulate and adjust the particular frequency on a particular spot on your planet. As we are helping to continuously rebalancing your planet, that's all I got for now. Is it the deepest truth that of this? Yes. The other part of when you take mushrooms, it's more, you're more getting back to nature when you take it more a holistic thing that way, where it's a natural substance such as mushrooms. But no, everything exists within the mind of the greater mind. And I can speak to mushrooms because I've taken them a bunch of times. I have enjoyed chatting with you guys today. I got another session. If you guys would like to join me for more of like a Zoom call where there's an actual moderator and I can just stay in the state when people are asking questions, I'm going to put the link in the chat box one more time. If you guys would like to join us, feel free to register for the thing. It's going to be a small group of people that we have, and it's later today if you guys would like to join us. So, but I have more channeling to do later, so I just thought I'd jump on for like an hour or so with you guys. So feel free to join. Have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you later. Yes, it's the link for later. Like I said, feel free to join us if you can. It was pretty fun. It's more, there can be things that are spoken more openly on that than I can actually do on YouTube. So feel free to join. Talk to you guys later.